Hello, everyone. Hello, and happy Saturday. Happy final day and session of our current Class B study. And I hope it's a marvelous day for you. And how's the sound? Check, 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 check. Okay, good. Sounds working great. So, welcome, everybody. This is Jay Baldell. Welcome to my channel. And today we're doing our Class B study, our final session, as I already said. We are going to finish up this book here, Easy Journey to Other Planets. So if you've missed some of the other classes, well, you might want to go catch those on a replay. But perhaps for you, this part alone is going to be just what you need to hear. It's funny how that works out sometimes, huh? All right, music. How sometimes you can just kind of hop into like the middle of a book, middle of a podcast, whatever, and hear exactly what you need to hear, read exactly what you need to read. At least for that current, or very, I guess you would say, more specific time and predicament you might be in and experiencing. So, just getting this chat pulled back up, and then we'll go ahead and get into it. We've got, I think, about exactly 10 pages left. So that should be a pretty easy, pretty quick stream. Come on. Come on, YouTube. Doesn't want to load. Welcome in to those of you just coming in. I already did that part. Why are you? You know what, YouTube? Sometimes. Where did it go? All right, well, we'll just do it a little different way, real quick. Sorry about that. You guys don't care. It ain't that big of a deal. Holy smokes. Okay, now that is looking a lot better on my end. Cool. Well, we always get there eventually, huh? Even if sometimes it doesn't go as smooth as we'd like, as quick as we'd like, as easily as we'd like. Maybe sometimes we want a hard journey, and that's perfectly fine. So, let's bust into these tarot cards real quick and see what they've got to say about this final bit of reading we're going to do today, and what might be helpful for us to have in our minds for this particular weekend, or just this particular day for any of those people in the future who maybe it's weeks or months from now and you've happened to cross this. Well, you might find that this still applies for whatever's going on then. Maybe not. Oh, I was tempted. That one card kind of popped up, but I was more committed to the continuation of the shuffle than to taking a jumper. But let's cut it there, and it's this card. It's a court card. It's a court card. But which court card? Can't say that much. Let's take a look. How'd I do? Oh man, well, it's not a court card and disappointment indeed. 5 cups. Disappointed that I didn't get it right. Dang it. Well, win some, you lose some. But you live. You live to fight another day. And that's kind of what this card is saying. That disappointment in the realm of the cups, in the realm of emotions and creation, creativity. Mars and Scorpio. Well, Mars is at home in Scorpio, so that much is good. This one's a double Mars too, huh? Because it's a 5. Well, okay, very heavy Martian energy. So perhaps you've been doing some warfare within that like creative and emotional space, and it's been leaving you feeling disappointed. But one thing I've noticed about this particular card is even though it's in that scary upside down pentagram, well, these other stems of the plant, you can kind of see it. Well, down low, it kind of looks like a butterfly, and up top, actually, it kind of looks like a heart. So, even though this card seems intimidating or kind of seems to want to let us know that whatever you are doing or whatever you are going to be doing, you might experience some disappointment when it comes to that. That's kind of held true for me as I've pulled it, but also it's been one of those disappointments of like crying over spilled milk. That it's like a bummer, but it's not nearly as much as of a bummer as you're making it out to be. And so perhaps you just need to take another look at it. Perhaps you need to like maybe something's not going your way, and so it's got you kind of feeling sad. It's got you feeling stressed out, angry, maybe even. But if you take a minute to give it another perspective, you might just realize that actually that's doing you a favor. At least that's been the way it's been for me when I've had this card come up and there's been a pretty obvious reason for it. Whatever it might, the different stages in life or something like maybe heading into work. And so sometimes I like to pull a single card before a shift or something like that. And then you pull this one, and so you think, dang it, now the whole day is going to be bad. My whole shift and all of work is going to be bad. Vashant Kumar, hello again to you as well. I hope you're having a good Saturday. So thinking that, like, dang, now I'm going to have a bad day. But then as the day unfolds, maybe you do have something that happens that leaves you feeling disappointed, feeling bummed out. But as the entirety of the day unfolds, you look back and you see, yeah, for a minute that seemed like it was going to be really bad, but it really wasn't all that bad in the grand scheme of things. So, whether you have or have not experienced this disappointing thing coming up, that's my read on it, and that's my reminder on it is that for right now, it seems like the sea is dried up. Seems like you're facing something that's going to be oh so terrible. But give it a little longer, and it's more than likely that it's not going to be so bad. And also, we see that since it's the 5, in the way that those 4 elements kind of sort of run the show, but there is that hidden 5th element, right, of spirit. That's what the pentagram shows us, is that you've got your 2 active and 2 passive elements, your masculine or feminine elements of air and fire on the masculine side, earth and water on the feminine side. But then you've got spirit too, right? Spirit is the top, or in this case, it would be the bottom of the pentagram, down, pointing down into that cup. So perhaps in a bit of a way that you're feeling like these elemental forces in your life, maybe a little more specifically a watery influence, um, have got you held down. But that point of the star, that spirit part reminds us that this is all God. So even this disappointing thing is just another opportunity to learn, to grow, to, and in the ways to help us to better navigate these things in the future. At least hopefully. But I know some of us, we can, oh man, we can get real stuck in our different type of ways. All right then. Well, disappointment, and maybe that's what we'll find as we finish this book up. That we're gonna say, man, what a disappointing book. That one sucked. Nah, this one's not bad, even though it's got a little bit of well, just a certain, how do I want to say, a certain set of dogmas, kind of sort of a certain spiritual type of approach. Proteus, seer of eons, what's up, man? Welcome. It's great to see you. I hope you're having a good day, and you're welcome. Thank you. Oh wait, and I got some. Oh, my other man right here, Pussy Hunter 880. Good to see you popping in back in and out. And he says, "What's that? Some Indian shots? Dang it! Now I'm curious. What's up next?" No, man, I already have a reserved seat in hell. Well, with that type of mindset, you're probably right. And what's up next is we're gonna read into this book. But if you're talking about what that tarot is saying, well, you'll find out. But you'll probably find out that it's not going to really be something so horrible. Perhaps, perhaps, but if you do your best to stay grounded in something like when you finally take your seat that's reserved in hell, reminding yourself that this is part of the game, and this is another clearly I didn't learn. Clearly I screwed up enough that now I've got to get a bit of a spanking. But for sure, something from these Eastern teachings reminds us that all things are transitory, all things are changing. So, like the Buddha said, even a punishment as severe as hell isn't actually eternal. Might feel like it though. I mean, shoot, if you're on like a loop of getting tortured by some demons, that's gonna probably feel like it's gonna feel eternal. Okay, so yep, this book kind of a certain set of dogmas or a certain viewpoint. But we've already talked a little bit about the importance of just keeping that in mind as we navigate all these different types of texts. That the human had to transmit it, and that humanness will do its thing from time to time. And so he's already talked a little smack about stuff like going to the moon and just bringing back rocks. Like that's somehow unimpressive as far as he's concerned, but that's a pretty good achievement, I think. But in some of the ways he puts it, it's like, sure, right, like, well, all of humanity can't go there. Well, kind of we can now because, like, that Artemis mission, unless you're somebody who thinks that was all just faked and CGI and all of that type of stuff, there was like live stream feed of that whole thing, which is just that's just so amazing and impressive. So yeah, you can take the more paranoid, like, yep, your seat is reserved in hell type of approach of this is all fake, this is all the Freemason Illuminati elite conspiracy, and they're lying about this, and NASA is invented by Satan and Jack Parsons, and he's an occultist, and yada 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 yada. Or you can just be like, wow, dude, we're really alive in a time where not only are we attempting to travel to space and to a satellite like the moon, since that's technically a satellite, although the way it's viewed is like one of those seven traditional planets, but as far as the definitions and science is concerned, that's a satellite around our planet. But we're all satellites to the sun, even the big planets. You know what I'm saying, though, that, it's really impressive to be alive in a time where, dang, we're actually trying to do this. And we've got this type of technology where we can live stream the thing, we can watch it. But all I know is that Pussy Hunter says playing simp won't minimize your sins, as everyone who breathes committed sins, even if they aren't aware. Huh. Your seat is reserved in hell, isn't it? Well, man, you'll figure it out. Playing simp. Playing simp. Well, take that tough talking to Satan. when you get down to see him. All right, then, you guys, let's get started and let's get to reading. So, yep, we left off with the question yesterday of why have I been put into this conditioned life? I do not wish to suffer. Pussy Hunter, that one's going to be for you when you're down in hell. Why have you been put into this hell? You don't want to suffer. There are three kinds of suffering, one of which includes miseries pertaining to the body and mind. In Hawaii, in front of my house, a man was keeping some animals and birds for the purpose of taking them to be slaughtered. I gave this example to my students. These animals are standing here, and if you tell them, "Oh, my dear animals, why are you standing here? Go away. You are meant for the slaughterhouse," they cannot go. They have no intelligence. Ha! That's a very pertinent one right now for this chat. Suffering without knowledge, without remedy, is animal life. One who cannot understand that he is suffering and who thinks that he is very well off is in animal consciousness, not human consciousness. The human being should be cognizant of suffering, the threefold miseries of this planet. One should know that he is suffering in birth, suffering in death, suffering in old age, and suffering in disease, and one should be inquisitive as to how he may avoid the suffering. That is the real research work. We have suffered from the beginning of our birth. As a baby, the human being is tightly placed in the abdomen of the mother in an airtight bag for 9 months. He cannot even move. There are insects biting him, and he cannot protest. After the child comes out, the suffering continues. The mother undoubtedly takes much care, but still the child cries because he is suffering. There are bugs biting, or there are pains in his stomach. The child is crying, and the mother does not know how to pacify him. His suffering begins in the womb of his mother. Then, after his birth, as he grows up, there is more suffering. He does not want to go to school, but he is forced to. He does not want to study, but the teacher gives him tasks. Hey, speak for yourself, Swami Prabhupada. Studying's fun. If we analyze our life, we will find that it is full of suffering. Why then are we coming here? The conditioned souls are not very bright. We should inquire, why am I suffering? If there is a remedy, we must take advantage of it. Okay, so there's the way that our tarot is already kind of popping up. Right, so there's the disappointment of that Five of Cups. Well, why am I suffering? Why am I disappointed? And what's the remedy? Is the remedy to just maybe change my frame of mind? Is the remedy because I don't know, maybe so if we look at it in a creative way, and so whatever project you're going on, maybe you get to a real point where you realize you screwed up bad. Maybe you're like building a fence around your house or something, and you get to a point where you realize I already set this post and I measured wrong, dude. And now this one section of the fence is going to suffer because of that. That's going to be rather disappointing, but there is a remedy, right? And it's as annoying as it is, it's now I got to remeasure, reset the post, and or I've just got to go with it and hope for the best. Frame it up anyway, put the fence up anyway, but yep, maybe now this section might be a little bit weak. So why are you suffering? And if there is a remedy, take advantage of it. We are eternally connected with the Supreme Lord. Or is that simping? Maybe that's just simping. We are eternally connected with the Supreme Lord, but somehow or other we are now in material contamination. Therefore, we must take up a process by which to go back again to the spiritual world. That linking process is called yoga. The actual translation of the word yoga is plus. Oh, see, so a lot of times we hear that it's union, but he says that it's translated as plus. At the present moment, we are minus God or minus the Supreme. But when we make ourselves plus connected, then our human form of life is perfect. During our lifetime, we have to practice approaching that point of perfection, and at the time of death, when we give up this material body, that perfection has to be realized. At the time of death, one must be prepared. Students, for instance, prepare for 2 to 5 years in college, and the final test of their education is the examination. If they pass the examination, they get a degree. Similarly, in the subject of life, if we prepare for the examination at the time of death and pass it, then we are transferred to the spiritual world. Everything is examined at the time of death. There is a very common Bengali proverb that says that whatever one does for perfection will be tested at the time of his death. The Bhagavad Gita describes what we should do at the point of our death when we are giving up this present body. For the Jnana Yogi meditator, Sri Krishna speaks the following verse. Persons learned in the Vedas who utter Omkara and who are great sages in the renounced order enter into Brahman. Desiring such perfection, one practices celibacy. I shall now explain to you this process by which one may attain salvation. The yogic situation is that of detachment from all sensual engagements, closing all the doors of the senses and fixing the mind on the heart and the life air at the top of the head. One establishes himself in yoga. In the yoga system, this process is called pratyahara, which means in technical language, the opposite. Okay, and pratyahara, if I remember right, like from the Bihar books, they say that pratyahara is withdrawal of the senses. But he gives us this definition that is the opposite. Well, we could have seen that in that five, that pentagram too, right? Where you've got your four more concrete elements, your four more dense elements, and then the one that's the opposite. Now the eyes are engaged in seeing worldly beauty, so one has to withdraw them from enjoying that beauty and concentrate on seeing beauty inside. That is called pratyahara. Similarly, one has to hear the omkara sound from within. And then, let's see, Pussy Hunter says, what happens to the soul after we give up the materialistic corpse? Well, considering I haven't died, I certainly can't say for sure. But there are a handful of different teachings that say that in some shape or form the soul goes into goes through an afterlife process, which can be kind of akin to dreaming. But again, I mean, I haven't died. I'm alive right now on this stream. At least last I checked. Hold on, let's. Oh, yep, that knocks. Guess I must be in the real world. Oh, these words are staying the same on the page. They're not changing. This must be the dense matter right now. That's a big illusion. So, yep, you might benefit, though, if that's a question you're trying to answer, then you might benefit from looking more into certain things like near death experiences, certain types of texts that talk about the afterlife process. All right, so after being situated in this yoga practice and vibrating the sacred syllable Om, the supreme combination of letters, if one thinks of the supreme personality of Godhead and quits his body, he will certainly reach the spiritual planets. In this way, all the senses have to be stopped in their external activities, and the mind must be concentrated on Vishnu Murti, the form of Lord Vishnu. That is the perfection of yoga. The mind is very turbulent, so it has to be fixed upon the heart. When the mind is fixed within the heart and the life air is transferred to the top of the head, one can attain the perfection of yoga. The perfect yogi then determines where he is to go. There are innumerable material planets, and beyond these planets, there is the spiritual world. Yogis have this information from Vedic scriptures. For example, before I came to the United States, I read descriptions of it from books. Similarly, a description of the higher planets and the spiritual world can be found in the Vedic scriptures. The yogi knows everything. He can transfer himself to any planet he likes. He does not need does not need the help of a spacecraft. Material scientists have been trying for many years, and they will go on trying for 100 or 1,000 years more, but they will never reach any planet. Maybe by a scientific process, one or two men can reach some planet, but that is not the general process. The generally accepted process for transferal to other planets is the practice of the yoga system or the Gyan system. The Bhakti system, however, is not meant for transferal to any material planet. Those who engage in the devotional service of Krishna or the Supreme Lord are not interested in any of the planets of this material world because they know that no matter to which planet one elevates himself, he will find the four principles of material existence there nonetheless. Oh, maybe that's your disappointment. Maybe that card was showing us you're on a different planet, and guess what? You thought it was going to be better here? No way, dude. These four principles of material existence are there nonetheless. On some planets, the duration of life is much longer than on this earth, but death is there. Those who are Krishna conscious, however, transcend this material life of birth, death, disease, and old age. Spiritual life means release from this botheration and misery. Those who are intelligent, therefore, do not try to elevate themselves to any planet of this material world. Men are trying to reach the moon, and although it is very difficult to gain entrance to that planet, if we do not gain entrance, the period of our lives will be enhanced. Excuse me, if we do gain entrance, the period of our lives will be enhanced. Of course, that does not apply to life in this body. If we were to enter the moon with this body, instant death would be certain. Oh man, certain. And he says, Pussy Hunter says, why are you wearing gloves? Are you going to a bike ride after this live? Yep, that's exactly what I'm doing. And the teleporter's yogis, laughing face. Well, hey, Pussy Hunter, maybe you should give it a try and let us know if it's still very laughable or not. Or you can continue talking smack in the chat, either way. When one enters into a planetary system, he must have a suitable body for that planet. Every planet is inhabited by living entities with bodies suitable for that planet. For instance, we can enter the water in this body, but we cannot live there. We may stay there 15 or 16 years, or maybe 24 hours, but that's all. Aquatic animals, however, have particular bodies suitable for living their whole lives in water. Similarly, if one takes a fish out of water and puts it on the land, it will die instantly. As we understand that even on this planet there are different kinds of bodies for living in particular places, so, similarly, if we want to enter another planet, we have to prepare ourselves to get a suitable body. Huh. How you like that one? How you like that one, PH? Okay, but I get it though, because yeah, like a lot of people will talk some smack, but unless you've actually attempted these things, unless and like not gotten results, then you really don't know. It's like the people who will maybe talk crap on people who like use the substances and be like, "Oh, you're just getting high. You're just getting high, and you're just a stupid little user of substances." But that person's never actually like tried these things. You know what I mean? So what do they actually know about this other than like what they get told by like their dare program in school or by like all the propaganda out there? I mean, it's good to have warnings against things because yeah, there are real dangers to all kinds of things. But or somebody who even like, I don't know, maybe talks crap on like, why are you building that house with those saws? Why are you using those power saws to build a house? Well, because it's just so much easier and better to do it that way. But yeah, I guess we could like do the old fashioned saws, or I guess we could like, maybe you're such an expert, you can come show us how to like karate chop this wood to the where we need it cut at. Or you can just sit there and run your mouth. Whatever, you know what I mean? If one transfers himself and his soul transmigrates to the moon by this yogic process, he gets a long duration of life. On the higher planets, 6 of our months equal 1 day. Thus, the beings live there for 10,000 years. That is the description in the Vedic literature. So, undoubtedly, one can get a very long duration of life, but still there is death. After 10,000 or 20,000 years, or even after millions of years, it does not matter. Death comes. Actually, we are not subject to death. That is affirmed in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 20. We are spirit, soul, and therefore we are eternal. Why then should we subject ourselves to death and birth? It is intelligent to think in this way. Those who are Krishna conscious are very intelligent because they are not interested in getting promotion to any planet where there is death, despite a long duration of life there. Rather, they want to get a body like God's. Let's see. God's body is Satchidananda. Sat means eternal, and Chit means full of knowledge. Ananda means full of pleasure. All right. And Pussy Hunter says, have you ever encountered anyone who can teleport themselves wherever they want, what planet they want to be? Tell me a name of a person who lived past 150 years. Well, those are two different things. But I don't know anybody personally who's lived that long. That's a bit long for pretty much any human to do. Although there are reports of certain yogis who have pushed the boundaries on what a human life can live. But I've never met any of them personally, so I guess I can't really vouch for it beyond hearsay. And teleport, see, that's where, see, you clearly don't have, like, yeah, your whole body, because it doesn't really work that way. But there are aspects of yourself that can work that way. But again, right, you can be the person who sits there and runs your mouth and is like, oh, that person's not actually doing anything. They're just closing their eyes. Like that actually happened with like a witch and somebody who was trying to document her night travel, her night flight to the witch's sabbath. And she did her thing. And as far as the other guy was concerned, he's like, dude, she just like drank a tea and went to sleep. But that's what it looked like from his perspective. But by her reports, oh yeah, buddy, she went and danced with the devil. But that might be a little scary for some people. But hey, if you're genuinely wanting to learn, then you will probably come to figure that out on your own in your own time. Or if you're just trying to crack jokes, well, that's all right too. I like a good joke from time to time. For the most part, actually, I mostly enjoy good jokes, but time and place. Sometimes it's like, look, man, quit your joking right now. But right now, that's perfectly fine. I don't mind. Right now, I'm in a joking mood. Okay, so as stated in our pamphlet, Krishna, the reservoir of pleasure, if we transfer ourselves to the spiritual world, to Krishna's planet, or to any other spiritual planet, then we will get a body similar to God's Satchidananda, eternal, full of knowledge and full of bliss. So those who try to be Krishna conscious have a different aim of life than those who are trying to promote themselves to the better planets in this material world. Lord Krishna says the perfection of yoga is to transfer oneself to the spiritual world. The spirit soul is a minute particle within the body. We cannot see it. One practices the yoga system to raise the soul to the topmost part of the head. This practice goes on while one is living, and the perfection is reached when one can place himself on the top of the head and then break through. Then he can transfer himself to whatever higher planets he likes. That is the perfection of the yogi. If the yogi is inquisitive to see the moon, he can say, ah, let me see what the moon is like. Then I shall transfer myself to higher planets. Just like travelers who go to Europe, California, Canada, or other countries on Earth. One can transfer oneself to many planets by this yoga system, but anywhere he goes, he will find visa systems and custom systems. Oh no. Oh no. To go to other planets, one must be qualified. Krishna conscious persons are not interested in any temporary planet, even if it offers a long duration of life. Maybe that's your disappointment. Maybe you've been really working on your projection abilities and you thought you were about to just project on over to some who knows what, one of the moons of Jupiter or something, and you got there and the security came out to meet you and said, yo, do you have the credentials? Do you how you're not getting past us? Get out of here. Go back to Earth. Go back to your body. Okay. Krishna conscious persons are not interested in any temporary planet, even if it offers a long duration of life. If the yogi at the time of death can pronounce Om, the concise form of transcendental vibration, and at the same time remember Krishna, Vishnu, Mam Anusmaran, he will attain perfection. The purpose of the entire yoga system is to concentrate the mind on Vishnu. Impersonalists imagine that they see the form of Vishnu or the Lord, but those who are personalists do not imagine this. They actually see the form of the Supreme Lord. Either way, if one concentrates his mind through imagination, or if one actually sees, one has to concentrate his mind on the Vishnu form. Mam means unto the Supreme Lord Vishnu. Anyone who leaves this body and concentrates his mind on Vishnu enters into the spiritual kingdom after quitting his body. Those who are actually yogis do not desire to enter any other planet because they know that life is temporary on the temporary planets, and thus they are not interested. That is intelligence. Those who are satisfied with temporary happiness, temporary life, and temporary facilities are not intelligent according to the Bhagavad Gita. One whose brain substance is very meager is interested in temporary things. That is the version of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. I am eternal, so why should I be interested in non permanent things? Who wants non permanent existence? No one wants it. If we are living in an apartment and the landlord asks us to vacate, we are sorry, but we are not sorry if we move to a better apartment. This then is our inclination. We do not wish to die because we are eternal. And let's see. Pussy Owner says, I'm just clearing doubts and axioms that revolves around these spiritual and religious beliefs. I ain't cracking no jokes or dignifying your doubts. I'm just asking. Well, that's fine too. No big deal at all. If you're just asking, then I'm happy to give you the best answers I can. But shoot, I wouldn't be reading these books if I wasn't also asking. Okay. We do not wish to die because we are eternal. The material atmosphere is robbing us of our eternality. The Srimad Bhagavatam says, our duration of life is being diminished by the sun, beginning from its rising until the time it sets. Daily, we are losing the duration of our lives. If the sun rises at 5:30 in the morning, at 5:30 in the evening, 12 hours have been taken away from the duration of our lives. We will never get this time back. If we ask any scientist, I will give you $12 million. Please give me back these 12 hours. He will reply, no, it is not possible. The scientists cannot do it. Therefore, the Bhagavatam says that from sunrise to sunset, the duration of our lives is being diminished. Time is called Kala, past, present, and future. What is now present, tomorrow will be past. And what is now future, tomorrow will be present. But this past, present, and future are the past, present, and future of the body. We do not belong to the category of the past, present, and future. We belong to the category of eternity. Therefore, one should be concerned with how to attain or how to be elevated to the platform of eternity. The developed consciousness of the human being should be utilized not in the animal propensities of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, but in searching out the valuable path which will help him get that life of eternity. It is said that the sun is taking away our duration of life, every minute, every hour, every day. But if we engage ourselves in the topics of Uttamasloka, the topics of the Lord, that time cannot be taken away. The time one devotes in a Krishna consciousness temple cannot be taken away. It is an asset, a plus, not a minus. The duration of life, so far as the body is concerned, may be taken. However, one tries to keep it intact, no one can do it. But the spiritual education we receive in Krishna consciousness cannot be taken away by the sun, it becomes a solid asset. Chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is a very easy thing to do. Time spent chanting cannot be taken away like time pertaining to the body. 50 years ago, I was a young man, but that time has been taken and cannot be returned. The spiritual knowledge I received from my spiritual master, however, cannot be taken away, but will go with me. Even after I quit this body, it will go with me. And if it is perfect in this life, then it will take me to the eternal abode. Both the material and spiritual worlds belong to Krishna. We are not proprietors of anything. It is all the property of the Supreme Lord, just as everything in the state belongs to the government, either in the prison house or outside the prison house. Conditioned life is just like life in a prison house in this material world. A prisoner cannot freely change from one cell to another. In free life, one can go from one home to another home, but in prison life, one cannot do that, but must stay in his cell. All these planets are like cells. We are trying to go to the moon, but it is not practical by mechanical means. Whether we are American, Indian, Chinese, or Russian, we have been given this planet to live on. We cannot leave, although there are millions and billions of planets, and although we have so many flying machines, because we are conditioned by the laws of nature, God's laws. A man who is put into a certain cell cannot change at will without superior authority. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that one should not try to change from one cell to another. That will not make anyone happy. If a prisoner thinks, I am in this cell, let me request the warden to change my cell and I will be happy, that is a mistaken idea. One cannot be happy so long as he is within the prison walls. We are trying to be happy by changing cells from capitalism to communism or communism to capitalism. The aim should be to become free from this ism and that ism. One has to change completely from the ism called materialism, then he can become happy. That is the program of Krishna consciousness. We are taking advice from the Supreme Person. He says, my dear Arjuna, you may be elevated to the highest planetary system, which is called Brahmaloka, and is desirable because life there is very long. We cannot calculate even a half day there. It is beyond our mathematical calculations. But even in Brahmaloka there is death. Therefore Krishna says, do not waste your time trying to elevate yourself or transfer yourself from this planet to that planet. The people I have seen in America are very restless. They go from one apartment to another apartment, or from one country to another country. That restlessness is there because we are searching after our real home. To go from this place to that place will not give eternal life. Eternal life is with Krishna. Therefore, Krishna says, everything belongs to me. And I have the super excellent abode, which is called Goloka Vrindavana. If one wants to go there, he must simply become Krishna conscious and try to understand how Krishna appears and disappears, what his constitutional position is, what our constitutional position is, and what our relationship with him is, and how to live in that relationship. Simply try to understand these ideas scientifically. Everything in Krishna consciousness is scientific. It is not bogus, whimsical, sentimental, fanatical, or imaginary. It is truth, fact, reality. One must understand Krishna in truth. We have to give up this body willingly or unwillingly. The day will come when we will have to submit to the laws of nature and give up this body. Even President Kennedy in his procession had to submit to nature's law and change his body for another body. He could not say, oh, I am the president, I am Mr. Kennedy, I cannot do that. He was forced to do it. That is the way nature works. The purpose of our developed human consciousness is to understand how nature works. Aside from human consciousness, there is consciousness in dogs, cats, worms, trees, birds, beasts, and all other species. But we are not meant to live in that consciousness. The Srimad Bhagavatam says that after many, many births, we have attained the human form of body. Now we should not misuse it. Please utilize this human life to develop Krishna consciousness and be happy. Well, there's a key in how to turn our disappointment into happiness. according to A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And that does it. We've already finished up this book, which has given us some insight into how to make an easy journey to other planets. Let's take a look at the chat real quick. Because Pussy Hunter says the Bhagavad Gita also says your past revolves around your present. What does that mean? Did you know the whole Bhagavad Gita was said to be a conversation between Arjuna and Lord Krishna during the Mahabharata, as Lord Krishna was driving Arjuna's chariot in the war field? I did know that. I did. And if you're asking me, your past revolves around your present. What does that mean? Huh. Well, my answer for that would be it's all in the mind, bro. And so, in the ways that we're kind of constantly shaping our present moment and therefore our future based on our past. So, like, let's use a bike riding example, right? You asked me if I'm going riding bikes. So let's say I hop on a Harley and I'm going down the road and I'm going through like a new part of town. I haven't taken my bike down before and I'm not paying attention for whatever reason. Maybe there's like a really cool tree that caught my attention or a really cool house that caught my attention and I'm like, "Man, whoa, look at that one." Meanwhile, there's a really big, nasty pothole I didn't see that I clobber into and about darn near pop a tire and go flying off the bike on, right? Well, in the future, which would then be the present, like so it's the future from this incident occurring, but now it's the present. I'm deciding I'm riding down that road again. Once I see the cool house or tree or whatever it was that caught my attention, I will also remember, oh man, there's that dang pothole. I got to pay more attention to that, or I might have a bad time, even though this house is really cool. And so that's kind of the way I would answer that particular question. And he says, or she maybe it's a girl, the past revolves around your present means the karma. You get what you did. It's simple. Yep. Well, that's kind of like what I said, but in a different way. So there you go. Thank you for giving another answer into what that is. But based on my understanding of karma, it's like the same thing. You had the karma to hit that pothole the first time around, but now you have maybe found a better way to navigate that karma because you know that dang pothole is going to get me good if I don't keep my wits about me. So, thank you for your contributions and thank you for your questions. And I appreciate you. And I appreciate Protea Sierra Vion. It's good to see you as usual. And Shant Kumar, it's been good to see you popping in and out as well. So I'm glad that a couple of you are finding some benefit to these studies and discussions. And I wish you all a wonderful, wonderful weekend. We're done. So now we're done on another class B, but our class A is still the same one where we'll be getting more into transcendental magic. And this next week will be a really good one because we'll be talking about some of the spooky stuff. So that ought to be fun. So then for the next time class B around, I've got a couple ideas. So I guess we'll just see what I end up deciding on. I don't have a for sure answer on that. A couple of the Class A Crowley reads would be good, not to be confused with our Class A and Class B, but Class A in the way that the AA categorized those texts. So the holiest of the holy might be one of the routes. And I got a couple other ideas in mind. So when I get a little more solid on a decision, you guys will be the first to know. Well, maybe the second. I'll be the first to know. And then you guys will be first and foremost after me, obviously. All right, everybody. Well, I wish you all a marvelous weekend or a marvelous whenever, wherever you tap in on this live. Much love, many blessings. I'll see you Monday. This has been Jay Baldale, and this has been an easy journey to other planets by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Bye-bye.